conduct this interview with our very, very special guest. His name is Mher Khachatryan. Mher has been extremely busy and extremely on the radar of many journalists and artists. And I read an article about him in, I believe it's a Detroit magazine, and I was very impressed by what I read. So I contacted him, and I found out that he lives in Paramus, New Jersey. That made it more interesting because we were able to reach him and invite him to the studios. Mher is a graduate of the Fine Arts Academy in Army Yerevan, and it's one of the better schools. I'm sure there are many artists who graduated from that school. We know within the community, and we try to give them a chance and also hear about their adventures and learn more about their works. Mher, you've been called the smoke artist. I don't know if you like that title, but there is a reason you're being called a smoke artist. Most of your paintings are in black and white. And welcome to the radio station here, and would like to hear about you. Where did you get the smoke artist? Do you like it, and why black and white?
Thank you, Vartan, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor. Well, the smoke is, I do like it. I think it just emphasizes what period that my art is going through right now, and black and white because I want to focus more on the idea rather than colors, and less is more in a way that I want the audience to go deep inside the images, what I portray, and it's not about being pretty or not. I mean, everybody's gonna have their opinion, but the smoke itself, it in a way illustrates us, our lives, because it is born very simple, just like any of us, and then it lives its life based on its surroundings. It shapes images and it dissipates, just like us. And every wisp of smoke is very unique, just like us. So and it just shows how fragile the life is. It's just a little shorter time. But in the paintings, in the smoke paintings, all the painting starts with a very simple entrance, and then the smoke dissipates, and the viewer often looking at the paintings, I leave room for them to see what they have inside, because the truth is that if you have an art show and you have 100 visitors, there will be 100 different opinions, and most of the time people actually see what's inside them, because in my opinion the eyes are not just viewers, they're also projectors. So what you have inside is what you project outside, and if you don't see something you like, you first have to change what's inside. It's the Mher principle.
You know, you speak so simply and so clearly and so truthfully and so beautifully. You really know how to project your words and captivate the audience here, and especially myself. You say that you use art all the time to express your thoughts and to communicate your ideas, but very interestingly you say, but not impose it on others. What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, I'm being true to myself, and then the words or the brushstrokes that come on a canvas, it's my truth, my ideas, my understanding of life, and projection of what I have inside and what I want to say. But again, I can't impose, because there's not one truth. The truth could be different for everyone else based on their experiences, and even two kids in the same household, they perceive the world differently. It's very interesting. It's not, the truth is, it's not what's really happening to you, because you don't really have much control over, most of the time you don't. But you do have 100% control over how you react to it, and that's the most important thing. And so if you perceive the world, whatever it comes your way, and you say, why me, and you're into that victimhood, why is it happening to me, poor me, then you are putting that whatever is happening to you onto someone else that you have no control over changing. But if you take it and say that this is
a lesson, and what is the lesson to learn, then you're taking ownership and started working on it. So there's something I don't like. What do I do? What is in here to learn, and how do I change that? I recently heard this very interesting a story where they're twin brothers, and one of them is very positive and the other one is very negative. And so the father wants to do an experiment, and so they're like both about 10 years old. And so for Christmas he takes and buys, he buys all these beautiful toys, and he puts in one room. And then in the barn where they live, he fills this barn with a horse manure. And so he takes his negative kid to this room and says, "Oh, take a look at this room and see, like what I have for you." And the kid goes like, "Oh, I'm gonna break him. Somebody's gonna steal it from me, and I'm gonna be sad." And then he takes his positive kid to the barn, and the kid looks at it and he says, "Wow, wonderful." And the father goes like, "What is about wonderful?" He was like, "Well, if there's so much manure, there's gotta be a pony somewhere around." So, again, it's like, it depends on, how you perceive what you see, right? So it's a beautiful story.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. No matter what, if somebody likes to complain, they will complain no matter what you do.
100%.
Even if you take them to F.A.O. Schwartz, whatever toy place is in New York, they will complain. But who is Mher Khachatryan? Give us an idea where you were born, how you were raised, who was influencing you.
I get influenced every day. I was born in Armenia, Yerevan, in 1983, and soon after we had the unfortunate war, with Azerbaijan, and so there were a lot of negative things that I try not to remember too often. But unfortunately, some of the recent issues that come up with in the world, regarding Armenia or elsewhere, it brings some of those memories back. But I remember, mostly happy days, and like I have two kids where my kids now, they choose to do whatever they want. They go to, one is 8, one is 12. So they like, my daughter, she does like horseback riding, and she does swimming, all of these good things that they get a chance to do. I didn't. For me, it was only one thing. What are you gonna do? And it was art. So my art was, I started to draw and paint when I was 5, and then I went to art school, Khachatryan, at the age of 10, and it was 5 days a week. My grandpa was an amazing person, no longer with us, but he was taking me there for the first few years until I started going myself. And then after that, Panos Terlemezyan College, and then Academy of Fine Arts, and then after I came to the States and painted, I always appreciate what I've had and also appreciate what I didn't, because that kind of left a room for me to feel what I needed to. And so my professors were great people, great artists, masters. One thing that I would say we have today in Armenian Academy, some of my friends that teach there now, is creativity, which we didn't have as much when I was actually growing up there. And the reason was after the collapse of Soviet Union, some of our teachers, they were very much influenced by Soviet Union, what you can paint, what you cannot paint. And so it was more like less creative and more academics. And so that's what we've been taught. And I remember, like, in student years, I would go to look at some of the Monet and Van Gogh paintings, not the originals, we don't have them there, but in the books. And I remember the teachers were like, "Oh, you draw better than Van Gogh, why would you go see it?" Because the vision, imagination, that is what Van Gogh had, and that was, I think, something I was missing until I came to the States, went to the museums, and I think that is something balanced in my art, to have the foundation but also the creativity. And it's work in progress, and that's the beautiful thing. There's no end to it. There's always a growth. So
Here you mentioned Azerbaijan. We all know the situation in Armenia, Azerbaijan for the past 30 years. You mentioned wars, and we all know about the wars, but also all this has translated into your work as an artist. You have a very special place for veterans, people who have really sacrificed their life, given their ultimate. Give us an idea of your thoughts about the veterans, or how you have mixed your art with veterans.
So I have friends who, and my brother also. He was in army in Armenia. I mean, he was at the time of the war, active war. I never got a chance to serve, but for the veterans, I have a lot of respect. I mean, they basically go to protect our homes and our children, and and it's not the war often. From here, from the States, we watch war, and mostly Americans, they watch war from their couches, and that's not real war. The war is when you don't have hot water, and you don't have light, and you don't have food to eat, and there's like bombs everywhere. That's war. And I think a lot of people misunderstand what war is, and nowhere, in my opinion, in my heart, war is a good place and is a good thing anytime. And I'm saying this because yes, every person got to protect their home and their family, but hopefully it doesn't have to get to that point that it has to be done by bullets and bombs, because regardless of what happens, both sides, people die. And in my opinion, anything like Einstein said, is like you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that has created it. So you have to change the way you look at things so that the things that you look at will change. And so I was talking about the Azerbaijan and what memories brought back to me. And the article you read in Michigan, it was about a painting called I Was Your Child. And so this painting is based on 6 very young girls who died during war, and they are Ukrainian and Russian girls, Israeli, Israeli and Palestinian, Armenian and Azerbaijani girls. They're kids that didn't get a chance to experience life, and they had nothing to do with this war, but the life was taken away from them. And having my own kids, I just feel like that pain that these kids, they could bring so much peace. I mean, our kids are only 30% of our society, but they are 100% of our tomorrow. And what do we give them? Do we give them what's going on today? We leave that war to them to solve, or can we do something better to stop it and give them peace? And that painting is something showing how they're all connected, how there is no prejudice, and how there's only love. And the answer is, if somebody asks me truth or love, I would say love, because truth is different for everybody, and love is peace. Love has no room for hate.
Mher, when I read the story about you with your life, what really impressed me is your outlook on life, and that is the only reason I kind of decided to let's talk to Mher. There's always something you can learn from this guy, and we are all learning. And surrounding you are, as you can see, students who attend Seton University Armenian Club here, and they are really following what you are saying. But one of your most important points you raise is the secret of life is learning and teaching. And then by learning, you say you're taking. By teaching, you're giving. And you really go after getting and receiving. So the question is, elaborate on that philosophy, because if we stop giving, you will get nothing. That was your last comment. We were discussing this earlier.
That's true. So I think, us, if we can, we're part of the nature. And if you think of a funnel, if you close the bottom of the funnel, what will happen? I mean, you will not get. So as you give, nature always gives you more. And you become that funnel, you become the channel where you you're becoming part of this everything. You're not excluding you from anything else, because if you think about water gives life to everything. Water goes, and it's always humble. Anything below that you see, it goes all the cracks. It gives life to us, to the nature, the trees, the flowers, and it never asks anything in return. It does its job. It's the funnel that it goes and does and goes, and there's no, it never decreases, it never decreases. The water never decreases. It always will find a way and changes forms and comes back. And I think part of it is like when I think of life, and overall it's a beautiful thing that when you do something without asking for it, you always get more. And it's the sunlight that we enjoy every day. When sun for so many years gives light and warmth to us and never says to the earth, you owe me, right? So it's what the love that kind of does is it lights up the whole universe, and the whole world, and I believe that you have to give first, then get. And it's like almost you're sitting in front of the stove, and you ask the stove, can you give me heat and I'll give you wood. It won't work, right? So you have to give to get. So and I think to the nature, us, and I believe that we're all part of God, and to think like God, to give unconditionally, is when you become part of that big channel, become part of that nature, and everything and everyone is something to do. I think that's the main philosophy for me, and I'm trying to learn that every day.
One other thing that you could use as an example is when you have a lit candle, you can light thousands of other candles without losing anything.
Exactly.
So if you have the light, you have to spread that light and be kind. And Mher, I was not wrong in looking forward to talking to you and with you and learning more about your philosophy, and we really appreciate. I wish we could spend the whole period, and we'd like to thank you for joining us. Thank you for your outlook on life. Thank you for teaching us, because I'm sure we will take these and transfer it to some other people as we move ahead. Thank you very much. Is there anything else in closing?
I just would like to thank you for the opportunity, and I learned from you as well, and it's a beautiful radio, and thank you for keeping the community together, and thank you for the audience. Thank you for you guys being here, and help each other. That's the best we can do.
Gianna, is there any question you have? It will be nice to hear a voice of a young lady. I'm sure you were following everything he said. Go for him. Ask him any question you want, but you have to get closer to the mic. Just one question, last question.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to ask something about your artwork. Is there any piece that you are currently working on or planning on working on that you're especially looking forward to?
That's a good one.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, there is I just got the shipment actually from, there are pieces of Mher, this paintings, I just did one that I tested. So it's about my philosophy again. It's a mirror that will be covered, half of it, by a canvas, which will have a painting, portraits of each nation from the world. And so you will, on the other side will be the mirror that you're gonna see yourself. So as being part of each other, you can always like go to any nation and match your face with them and see yourself with everybody else, and just because we're all one.
Yeah. Thank you.
We'd like to thank Mher Khachatryan, and thank you very much.